This is Conversations from Carthage, and I'm Robert Bonomo. Our guest today is Meriam Ben Aissa.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Great. So you are the head of student life here at MSB.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about what you do.
So basically I work with 30 students on campus between MSB and MedTech, and we organize the events on campus, and we're in charge of the clubs.
Great. And now you were telling me about some of the different events that you've organized.
Yeah.
And one was a Google Hackathon?
Yes, so we had one last year and one this year. It's called Google Dev Fest. So it starts at 8 o'clock in the morning. They have a couple of workshops and stuff like that, and then they start with a theme. We give them a theme to work on, and they have 24 hours where they have to code non-stop in order to find a solution or create a platform or something similar to that theme we gave them. And then they pitch their ideas, and then one winner is chosen.
So what could you give us an idea? What were the themes?
So,
or one theme in particular?
Yeah, so this year it was artificial intelligence. So, and the winner worked on a platform, and it was related to climate change and environment as well, because we worked on some of the United Nations idea. So yeah, and our MSB MedTech team won third place.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And now you also do other events, no? With cultural events, with
Yes.
exchanges with different countries.
Yes, so the Student Life Department helps the LCI with the cultural events. So last year we had UK, USA, Indonesia, and this year we're starting with Italy next week. We're going to work with India as well, and hopefully like South Africa or something like that.
Okay, and what are those events like?
So basically we work with the embassies and our students. We have fashion show, we have dance, music, food. We can sell a lot of everything related to that country in particular.
Mm-hmm.
Books, clothes. Yeah.
No, okay, good. Now you told me that you've studied in several different places, no?
Yes. So I started in Rome with my primary school, then I moved back to Tunisia. And then when I finished my university here, I went to Paris for my master's degree.
Mm-hmm.
Finished my master's degree, moved to London, and then I came back to Tunisia.
So can you give us an idea what's the difference between student life, say, in Tunisia,
Paris
and London, for example?
Okay, so in Paris, I was in a private university.
Mm-hmm.
We had, I think, 9-10 clubs, and I was a student back then. But in London, I was a teacher, and in my university, we had like 30-35 clubs, all art related.
Always related to art?
Yeah, because the university was art university.
Mm-hmm.
So we taught the students how to paint, create, work on graphic design, stuff like that, music, architecture.
And this would be in Paris and...
So this is in London.
Oh, in London.
Yeah.
Okay.
In Paris, the university as well was a design university, so we had students crazy about media, crazy about how to work on with the newspapers, stuff like that. Yeah, but in general, as long as you have students willing to work on something, willing to give more and help, you have a lot of ideas bubbling everywhere.
Do you see any difference between the interest in students, say, in London and in Tunis, as far as fashion or types of art? Do you think there's a difference?
Fashion, yes.
Big
definitely,
difference.
Yes.
How so?
British people care about fashion, but they create their own fashion. Like I say, well, if they want to wear purple and orange, they do it, they don't care. French people say, oh my god, what is this? Tunisian would be like, maybe yes, maybe no. So yeah, that's the difference.
But don't you see fashion now becoming more similar among different cultures? Like, I've noticed that in Europe. You travel to Madrid, Moscow, and you see young people are dressing, it seems...
Yes.
I remember in the 1980s, when you traveled, you saw real differences in how people dress.
It is the case here, because, when they had this crazy TV show, Skins.
Yes.
And when it came out, I remember that when I was in the university, and all my friends wanted to dress up like the British. And then when I moved to Paris, it was huge as well. So all the French, literally, my friends go for the weekend to London, shop there, and then come back to Paris.
Wow.
Just because fashion in Britain is great.
Yeah, where would be what European capital do you think would be really the leader in fashion today?
London.
London?
Yeah, because there's no no boundary, no limits. You can do whatever you want. Nobody will ask you why you're wearing this with that, or why are you not following Dolce & Gabbana or something like that. So yeah, they're free. That's what I like most about them.
I watched that Alexander McQueen documentary. Did you see
I love
that?
Alexander McQueen.
Oh, yeah.
He's my favorite.
That was a fascinating
Yes.
documentary. And wasn't it interesting when he moved from London to Paris? It was that part was very interesting.
Talking about fashion designers, Vivienne Westwood is amazing. She's British. She has one shop in Paris and one huge shop in Tokyo, and she's crazy and no limits. Yeah, you have to check that one.
Yeah, definitely. So tell us a little bit more about some of the student life here in general. What are the students looking for in extracurricular activities? Because obviously they have their obligations,
Yes.
their academic obligations. But are they really looking for that extra?
Yeah, I think that now having around 20 active clubs on campus, I can say that yes, they're looking for a difference. They want to make the university more lively. They don't want to like come here, study and go home. They prefer spending more time on campus, like ping pong, basketball, participating in the painting activities, dance club. We have a music club. Yeah.
What would be the most popular club?
Oof, we have a couple, and I'm trying all the time to avoid having them events on the same time. So I can say sports club is quite popular, and actors. DSC now with Google, they're going crazy. Like,
what is that?
It's a club with Google. It's called DSC. They have to organize a couple of events on campus, workshop, and then the hackathon.
But is this directly related to Google? Is it official Google?
Yes, it is.
So Google actually.
Yes.
Now Google does not have a presence in Tunisia, right?
No, the one in charge of the MENA region is in Egypt.
From Egypt.
Yes. But we have a couple of Google developer groups in Tunisia, one in Beja, one in Tunis, and one in Bizerte. So the hackathon I told you about earlier, we worked with Google DevFest Carthage in Tunis, and they are our one-on-one mentors for the DSC club on campus.
That's great. Because in Tunisia you have a big tradition of developers, no?
Yes.
Programmers, developers, very.
So if you're an engineer, you're amazing.
Yeah. There's lots of them here, no? And a lot of them go to France, no?
Yes.
Now, is it possible for developers to people to get a relationship with Google and go directly to Google?
Yes.
So they're looking for people, no?
Yes, they're looking for people. Now, Google did all these clubs on campus, different campuses, but if you want to do that, you have to fill out a lot of forms, do a lot of interviews, and if they see the potential, they allow you to open that club.
They're an official club,
yes.
No?
And then throughout the competition, if you win, you go to Silicon Valley, you go straight to Google, you work with them, and yeah.
So there is a path. No?
Yes, but you have to work hard to get there.
Interesting. Now, some of the cultural exchanges you told me, you have one with Indonesia.
Yes, because we had a student here last year. I don't know if he's here this year or not, but he's from Indonesia. And you know that Indonesia, they have one cultural day. And he asked if he could do it on campus, and we said yes, okay. So we had our students work with people from the embassy. The ambassador came as well. We had a huge buffet. It was great. Fashion show with traditional clothes from Indonesia, and then music. It was really, really nice.
Food.
Yeah.
And the students get engaged in this.
Yes. Right? We had students skipping class in order to watch the
I hope they
show.
just skip my class.
Maybe, we don't know. If we have India in a couple of months, yes, I think they will skip the class.
Right. Oh, interesting. Now you were telling me you have one coming up with Italy, no?
Yes, next Wednesday on the 12th we have a crazy program. The ambassador will come as well. We start at 9 o'clock with a bake sale and photo booth for the students. The ambassador will be here at 3:30. We will start with the fashion show. We are working with Enactus SMU and Berbeja. It's a startup from an alumnus. And then we will follow with the music and the dance club will perform something. Maybe probably a DJ at the end.
Oh, excellent. What was the startup related to?
The startup is a student called Ines Soyer. She created it. And what they do is recycle fabric.
Oh, okay.
And then Actus is working on a project similar as well for the national competition, and they decided to work together on it.
So you recycle, say, old fabric
Yes.
and create new
Yes.
garments from it.
Yes.
That seems
And
like
they
a
sell
great
them.
idea, no?
Yeah.
And it's recycled. Now you have a connection to Italy, right? Because you lived in Rome.
Yes. Yeah.
And how did you like that?
I loved it. I loved it. I'm still in contact with my friends. Rome is really, really great. It's a really nice city.
And Rome has a sort of an interesting connection to Tunis. No?
Yes.
You guys have been fighting for a long time.
Yes. And in my family, we're crazy about history, and my dad used to teach us a lot about the war between Hannibal and Roman, and yeah. And when I went there to study, I didn't speak any Italian, so the teacher was really, really extra careful with me.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, it went very, very well. Very helpful people. I love the culture. Very good. And the food is.
No, yeah, I would say the food is. Can you talk a little bit about that from a Tunisian standpoint? The commonality of Mediterranean life, because I mean, obviously, I lived actually in Cartagena, which was your colony.
Yeah.
in Spain.
Yeah.
And my family's also from Frosinone, so I've been around the Mediterranean. And for me, I find a lot more similarities than I do differences.
Yeah, definitely.
I think from one Mediterranean country to another, so much is in common.
True, in everything. Culture, the way we speak, like moving the hands, the spices. A lot, especially I went to Spain and the spices are literally very, very similar.
Very similar.
South France as well, we have a couple of similarities as well. Now I think it's all the countries around the Mediterranean Sea are pretty much similar to each other. The skin color, the culture, the way you speak.
Even the people, like sometimes when I look at people here, I forget, it reminds me so much of Spain.
Yeah.
And what's in the markets.
Exactly.
Like in the January, February, I really enjoy artichokes.
Oh.
In Cartagena, we had just loads of artichokes in January and February. In the same thing. You have almost the same things in the markets at the same time.
Absolutely.
And also I think the religious calendar. Because for example, in Spain, the calendar is based on religious events.
Yeah.
And it's similar here.
It's similar here, yes.
So you have that connection, that kind of cycle, no?
Yeah.
That you lose that when you go to northern countries a little bit. England, the United States, we don't have that connection to the calendar.
No.
No, there's a few dates, but it's not
I think in England the most important event is Christmas.
Yeah.
Other than that, no. Probably same for the US.
Yeah, we have Christmas and Thanksgiving, but the calendar it's more of an event will pop up, but it's not a cycle around.
No, in here
through to Easter, through this event, to that event, it seems all connected. It's more of a circular time.
Yeah.
But as we move north, it gets a little different.
Yeah.
Good. What are some of the other things that the students here, do you think, when they're thinking about when they leave? What are a student today?
Mm-hmm.
What are they looking for when they leave? Are they looking for a career, you think, in Tunisia? Are they looking to leave? Are they wondering what they should do?
Well, most people will say that they were thinking to leave, but you'll be surprised of the number of students who decide not to leave. They want to open their own business in here, work with their families and stay here, open their own startup. They don't see why they would leave, knowing that they can do something in here for the country and have it develop itself.
And don't you think that's really important here, that they stop the brain drain?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think, when the revolution happened, I was in the UK, and then I decided then that it was time for me to come back. Because I could stay there, but no. And I was shocked at the beginning, knowing that all my friends, students, decided to leave. While all my students I had in my previous jobs, they're all in France now. All of them. All of them. At some point I had a whole class, 36 students moving. And I was shocked, but then knowing the students I met here and their idea of staying in Tunisia and trying to work something and make the country better and develop it, I think that was important. Something happened in the way students or young people see the evolution of the country. Mm-hmm. And it hit, at some point it hit you. You're Tunisian, something happened, it's been a long time since it's all messy, you need to do something for it. And you don't have to wait for somebody else to do it for you, you have to do it, you have the power. So this is what happened.
Yeah. And I think sometimes with the millennial generation, there's an idea about rights. I have the
Yes.
right to this, I have the right to that.
Yes, and they're aware of it, and they take it if you don't give it.
Yeah, but sometimes I think they're missing the other side of the equation, which are the responsibilities. If you claim a right,
Yeah,
somebody has to fulfill the responsibility. And
Yeah.
I think as they understand that, they're going to realize by assuming those responsibilities here, there's so many opportunities.
exactly.
So many.
Exactly. And this is what happened with a particular student. Like, I spent my day with 5 students. One of them in particular is saying the whole time, no, I'm not leaving, I'm staying here. Why would I leave? I have a lot of ideas I want to develop here, I want to stay here, it's better here. And at some point we started discussing the ideas he had, why he want to stay, where he see himself going in 5-10 years. And yeah, I think we can go back to what you said. He knows the second half of the equation. He knows his responsibilities.
Yeah, because I've worked in Latin America, North America, and Europe. The opportunities you see here are fabulous.
Yeah.
Because there's so many areas. Yeah, it's good. You know, you can. There's a lot to develop, I think.
Yeah.
With new ideas, and now with technology, it's very easy to transfer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But let's go back a little bit to why do you think during that period so many people wanted to leave? What attracted them to say France? What were the main reasons they want to go?
Really, if I can take one example, say my brother is one of those.
Mm-hmm.
So he finished his university, has a diploma. He spent a year in Tunisia working, and then the first thing he decided to do is move. I said, why? He said, I want to see what's happening elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
How is it? Because he was here during the revolution. He saw it. He knows the corruption. He knows a lot of things. We have like crazy background, and he wanted to see how is it in Paris. Now he works in Brussels. He went to Madrid, and it was mostly curiosity and when you were young, you want to know what's happening. How is it? How does that other person do this same thing and stuff like that.
But I guess the flip side of the coin is when a lot of those people there is a point as an expatriate that you feel the need to come back.
Yes.
Now, not everybody, but
Yes.
many people will reach that point where they're like,
Yeah.
I got to try it back. And when those people come back, they do bring a lot of experience.
Exactly. This is
And-
what's happening now. I know the people who left 6-7 years ago, now they're thinking of coming back with new ideas to develop in the country. So yeah, it's really happening.
And that can really be a point of inflection.
Exactly.
Almost as a point where you bring a lot of talent
Yes.
back with a lot of interesting ideas.
Yes, and then they
you can kind of get
Yes. It's going to be crazy.
yeah. Well, it was very interesting in Europe too, because I lived in Spain during the EU period at the beginning, and in Spain it was a massive boom up till about 2006, and then in 2007, 2008, when the crisis really hit, many Spaniards left, including my daughter. My daughter moved to London.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because of the opportunities.
Yeah.
The opportunities in
Yeah.
London. But now she's thinking after 3 or 4 years in
To
London.
come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the same.
Mhm.
I spent 3 years in London and I decided it's time to come back.
So let's talk a little bit about the difference in the education systems. Because you've studied or taught
Yeah.
in really 3 different systems,
Yeah.
no?
Yeah.
Can you compare them a little bit?
Yeah. So what I know for fact is that, for example, for the engineering classes in Tunisia and in France, they still do the prep classes. For
Right.
2 years, you have to study a lot of math, a lot of physics, but they don't do that anywhere in the world.
I was in a class. I'm interested in physics, and I was just listening to the end of one of the classes. They were doing Maxwell's equations.
Yeah. So
But don't you think that's a good thing?
it is, but it's tiring. I've met students, I taught students that after those 2 years, they're so tired that they literally decide to stop the engineering courses and then find something else.
So what happened in those 2 years? They really don't study engineering. It's basically physics, math,
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
non-stop.
And then in the 3rd year, they begin
Yeah.
the engineering.
Yes.
And when do they finish? Do they get a 3-year? Do they get a technical degree?
They finish after 5 years. They have 2 years of prep and then 3 years of engineering. And then they get a diploma, 5 years.
But that diploma is not a master's
No, it's an engineering degree.
It's just an engineering diploma.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very interesting that change, the whole Bologna change.
Yeah.
Like, I just remember in Spain, there used to be a 3-year technical engineering degree.
They do that now in Tunisia,
Mm-hmm.
and you just study for 3 years, but it's a kind of different course.
Mhm.
Like you have less math, I think, less physics, but it's 3 years and then you have a technical degree. But then you have to do a master's degree in order to like find a better job.
Right, to get what they call the superior.
Yes, exactly.
And I thought that was. I know for a lot of Spanish companies, it was more of a difficult thing because the 3-year technical engineering degree was something that's accessible to a lot of people.
Yes.
And there's a lot of usefulness for that.
Yeah, exactly. So from what I know is you pay them less.
Yeah.
They take less than an engineer, and they know more technical stuff.
Right.
So that's why, and it's accessible to everybody.
And for example, in Spain, you had a lot of foreign car manufacturers.
Mm-hmm.
So we had factories from Ford, Opel, Volkswagen. So the cars weren't being designed in Spain; they were being built in Spain.
Yes.
So you didn't need a lot of superior, what we used to call
Exactly.
superior.
Just a technical engineer will do the thing just perfect.
Yeah.
For less money. Yes.
But with the Bologna system, that doesn't exist anymore. There are only the 5-year engineering.
Yeah. But as I said, it's a lot in France and in Tunisia. So I know friends in the US,
Mhm.
and they just studied 3 years, and they're doing a perfect job.
Yeah. And the only thing is, in the U.S. system, you still, even if you're an engineer, you still have to take some English classes, some history
Sure.
classes, some of those
Sure.
to try and give you a little bit more of the mix. No.
Yeah.
What about the whole master's degree thing, especially on the business side, the MBA?
Yeah.
That's become very popular, no?
Yeah. It's good. You have like courses. Most of the time you can work and study at the same time,
Mhm.
and then when you have your diploma, you're doing a boom. Like
Right.
people will go crazy for it.
But what was it Elon Musk the other day said? He said he didn't care about anybody's diploma. He had no interest in that.
Yes.
I just want somebody
Yeah.
who can,
Work.
do what I can work
Yeah.
and do what I need them to do,
Yeah.
and do it with a lot of
Passion. Yeah.
Which is code for work very, very, very hard and not
Yeah.
sleep or eat too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually, when I saw this on Facebook and I saw the feedback from my students, they kind of liked it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of students now think that, if I know how to do something, I don't need the piece of paper, the diploma, for me to get a job. And he's like now the new hero of the era.
Yeah. It is interesting. You had Jobs, and now he's kind of the new.
Yes,
He has
exactly.
his admirers and his.
Exactly. One of my students recently wrote, "I'm going to work for him. I don't care how much I'm going to get paid. I don't care how much I'm going to work, as long as I can see him and learn from him."
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The difference between Musk and Jobs, though, is that Musk really is an engineer.
Yes.
I was watching a podcast. There's an excellent podcast from MIT. It's the Artificial Intelligence podcast, and they interviewed Musk. And Musk actually thinks and speaks like an engineer,
Yeah.
which is very different than Jobs.
Yes. So I used to teach students how to do a good presentation and how to be able to sell any product.
Mhm.
So one of my games was like putting them in groups, and the boys, I give them like a lipstick. See, boys, you have to sell this lipstick. And then they like prepare the presentation and and then at some point I give them Jobs example. So Jobs, when he first had the idea of the iPhone, he went to present it to a lot of people, and the presentation was messy, like a lot of words, not very presented and all that. I said, then he went back home, he fixed the presentation, he learned how to do things, and then now we have iPhone, we have Apple. So it's all in there. And he's not an engineer, and he could sell the idea of having an extraordinary phone.
Yeah. It's but getting back to the education system. I mean, we should be careful. We both work in higher education.
Yes.
I want my job, but you have to wonder. Education really hasn't changed a whole lot. Higher education in what, about 70 or 80 years, and. Are we really taking advantage of all the technologies that we have, the access to courses, this system that we have where we put the students in a classroom, there's a teacher,
Yeah.
I just wonder if we're a little bit behind the times.
So, actually, in here, MSB MedTech, we work a lot with the active pedagogy and the flipped classrooms.
Right,
So, the teacher is not a teacher anymore, the teacher is a facilitator.
right.
So, you give a problem, exercise, project to the students, and then you guide the students toward the solution. So, the student, he has to do the research, find what's the best way to go to that solution, and then experience. And I think this is a better way of teaching, and honestly, I'm really fond of it. And on top of that, my job as the head of the Student Life Department is to make sure that beyond that, the students put their potential in everything they do. Be it clubs, classes, whatever they want to do. If they want to do it, we can help.
True. But when you think about the access to information, because I'm pretty old, and when I tell my students, when I was looking for a piece of information when I was in the university, I had to go to the library, go to the index cards, find a book, search for the book, and usually it was a mess. So it took 3 or 4 shots. So for me, if I had a curiosity, to fulfill that curiosity could take hours. The minimum would be a few hours.
Yeah.
Now that curiosity can be fulfilled in seconds.
Yeah, just click.
So the information part of what we give, I don't think I'm going to be imparting a lot of information that they couldn't find someplace else. So what do we really have to teach them now? Is it how to curate the information? Think critically? Because imparting information methodology, you can find it.
I think it's a bit of both. Because the students we have now on campus, some of them are really crazy geeks. They just click, tack, the information.
Yeah.
But some of them do enjoy the library, and they do it the old-fashioned way. They love having books around, looking everywhere, and then you have to be able to guide that one and this one. So that's why I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah. But do you think the classroom itself will change in the future? This idea where we have a physical room with 20 or 30 students and a sort of leader of the group. Is this model really the future?
I think it's going to change. I think the way it's going now, where the teacher is the facilitator and his position in the classroom is not here, but in the middle of the classroom, where he's surrounded by the students and helping everyone, working with the groups and all that. I think this is going to be the future. The student has to be part of the project, in creating the project, finding the solution to the project, and presenting the project. This is the best way of teaching, I think, in my opinion.
But it brings up an interesting question. To learn something from somebody else, that you almost need that hierarchical system, because as equals, it's difficult to, especially, for example, if you're learning the piano,
Yeah.
and I play the piano and the student doesn't. If everything is a dialogue, as a teacher, sometimes it can be frustrating. It's like the dialogue will come, but first you do need a little bit of repetition.
Yes.
Like, for example, in writing, I often tell my students, the first 500,000 words I wrote were horrible. Nonsense. For the garbage can. Are you willing to make that commitment? So you write your first paragraph and you argue about, I think the sentence. You see what I mean? It's a balance.
Yeah.
And you wonder sometimes, do we go too far in the facilitatory role? It's
have to
difficult.
find the perfect balance. You have to be sure that you have always, for example, in graphic design, in order to draw a tree and then add some colors, there's 1,000 ways to do that. And I think as a facilitator you need to know a maximum of those, because there will be one student who will ask you about one that nobody knows about.
Right.
So it's true. Being the facilitator in the classroom is tiring. It asks more efforts, but that way the student gets to know more.
Yeah, let's hope so. And I think there's also, I think in the future that we're going to be ways to combine, for example, lectures, global lectures,
Definitely.
regional lectures.
Definitely.
And, we can mix it up.
Yeah.
I think
Absolutely.
I think we need to be a bit more creative.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we could get so creative where we destroy,
Yes.
we lose our jobs.
Yes.
And, you know, you have that tension.
Yeah, it has to be in between. Like, you still need to have like human contact, like teacher, student in front of each other, asking each other question, answer, and the technology as well, where you can attend the class, I don't know, in wherever university in the world, but you still in Tunisia. So it has to be really in between.
All right. It'll be very interesting. I would love to see what a university is going to look like in 100 years.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to look like this, though.
No, I'm sure. With the students we have now, with their ideas now, and how crazy they are, I'm 100% sure it's going to be very, very different. I trust them, I have faith.
That's good, that's good. Excellent. So, just before we finish, tell us about some things we have coming up now at MSB.
Okay, so we have, as I said before, on the 12th of February, Italy Day.
On the 12th of February?
Yeah, it's next Wednesday.
Oh, excellent.
And then the Student Life Department is working on Clubs Day, so this is going to be quite different from a traditional Clubs Day. What we want to do is each club will have its own space, and then the student who wants to try what they're doing, they can go everywhere around, wandering around on campus and try. If they want to learn how to cook, the cooking club will be given like free cupcake decoration course.
Oh, like for example in a classroom or out in the...
It depends on the activity.
Oh, okay.
So the cooking club will be in the classroom, but the music club will be outside. The sports club will be outside, and actors will be teaching the students how to work on their project, how to work with the berbesha. So yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting.
Oh, and that will be the whole day?
Yes.
Oh, so they'll be able to go...
Yes, we will like work on map, and then we give it away, then the students will know, NXS is here, let's go there, let's go try Spark, let's go try DSC.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Just offhand, what percentage of students are members of a club?
So we asked ourselves the same question, and a couple of weeks ago we had a huge meeting with all the president and their officers, and they are around 100 or 150.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So it's getting better, it's getting there. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Thank you for
Very good.
having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And this is Robert Baramo for Conversations from Carthage.